Welcome to Business as a Magical Practice, where your business is the vehicle for your self-integration and soul evolution. My name is Sam Garcia, and I'm the founder of Dirty Alchemy Digital Marketing. And I'll be guiding you through how you can use your business as a spiritual practice and what magical businesses are doing to hit their goals and change the world. Together, we'll be relating the mystical to the world of business so that our work can unite spirit and matter, shadow and light, conscious and unconscious. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Today I am here with Spatial Alchemy founder, Olga Naiman. I'm so excited for this conversation. When I first came into contact with Olga and her work, my mind was totally blown. And she's actually at the end going to take us all through a spatial alchemy practice. So definitely stay on to that. But welcome to Business as a Magical Practice, Olga.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. And I would love to hear in your own words about your journey, about your work, how you got here, how you developed spatial alchemy. So I'm just going to sit back and listen to all of that from you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I've been in the design and styling world for about 25 years, since the mid 90s. I started out as a magazine editor, or rather as a magazine assistant, and worked my way up to editor. I worked at House Beautiful magazine. I've worked for Veranda magazine. I was the main stylist for Domino, or one of the main stylists for Domino magazine in its first iteration in the early 2000s. And I was like in a space where it was all about style for me, and just playing with different kinds of styles, combining different objects, like making I have a set design master's degree, so I worked with theater, I did event design, I did all kinds of work with spaces, like it ran the gamut. I did West Elm catalogs, did Target catalogs, I worked for CB2, I worked with Disney, I worked for Oscar de la Renta. Like, I was a freelancer, and really, like, my clients were like really ran the gamut in terms of the style and design world. And I was going to all the press parties and doing that big New York City life for many, many years. And at the same time, and very separately, I was on my own spiritual journey. So there was, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from Tufts University. That was my foundation and base. So I started building on that to do my own personal healing. So I did ayahuasca ceremonies, meditation, plant medicine, journeying, sound meditations, working with all kinds of healing modalities, from Reiki to acupuncture to everything, studying feng shui, studying really the energetics of how we heal the body, how we heal the spirit. And that and my career were two very separate things for a long time. And I would definitely bring, some of my knowledge into my career, but it was always, I never thought the style world really wanted to hear about my experiences in this deeper, more mystical realm. And it got more and more mystical as the years went on. And as I started healing and started really going from someone who needs to be healed, and we're all on a never ending journey, right? To someone who's more in the role of healer. And that was a gradual process that took years. And I didn't even realize when the switch happened. But at a certain point, when I was working with my interior design clients, I started bringing in energy, and they were really receptive to it. And I started seeing how their psyches, how like their negative patterning that were holding them away from certain experiences that they wanted to have in their life, how that was manifesting in their homes. And how, when we shifted their homes to tune them to a frequency that they were wanting to get towards, and I call that the future self, things would start moving in their life. And it was quite magical. And it was like, somehow, like, energy started to move, and I started seeing homes through the lens of energy. Style is great, but it's not the be all and the end all. It's a tool. And it's a tool because you want to actually get to a place where your home is reflecting you, and you are aligned with your home, and you are like supported and nourished by your home. And style is wonderful, but it doesn't do all that. So I started really looking deeper. So that's been the arc. It's kind of like coming from the style world, thinking style is the be all and end all, and I got paid well for it, to really bringing that into the energetic world and thinking, how do our homes heal us? How do our homes support us more deeply? What's the ecosystem? And what's the symbiotic relationship that we have with our homes? And how, when we change part of that ecosystem, AKA the home, how do we change? Because when our home shifts, we shift. When our home upgrades, we upgrade. And that's really interesting to me.
So you had mentioned that you're seeing your clients actually create these big shifts in their life because of this work. Could you share some examples or case studies just for us to dream a little bit with you?
Yeah, yeah. So, like, think of yourself on New Year's, like, and I have a few clients. So, the energy that we have on New Year's Day when we're full of motivation. So it's like, how do we keep and hold that energy in our homes? So one of my clients, and this is before COVID started, she had moved into a new place. She was wanting to get healthier, into meditation, more balanced. She wanted to lose weight, she had quite a bit of weight to lose. And she just she'd been spinning and spinning for years and years, kind of saying this, not being able to do it, not being able to do it, not being able to do it. And we like tuned her home to like, okay, where's a space that you would feel comfortable, like meditating, like not next to this big pile of books and work that you have yet to read. That's not a really good meditating space. Like, what's going to really nourish you? Like, we really set up her kitchen for healthy habits and healthy snacking and healthy and inspiration. Like, we shifted the colors. And then COVID happened and she didn't have to go into work. She was a lot less stressed. And because her home was already set up for this, she just leaned into her home and said, yeah, I'm going to let you hold me. And she started running. She started eating more healthily. It's like she started going into a deeper relationship with the her that she wanted to pull in. And her home was already set up to pull that in for her. It wasn't like a reflection of her past habits that she wanted to release. It was a reflection of the future self that was already, had lost the weight, that was already healthy, that was already meditating, that was already doing these more intense self-care practices. Her home was set up for it. She just needed to like catch up with it. And she did.
That's so amazing. It's like a lot of people in this space, in the self-help world, we do our visualizations or we do our goal setting, and it sounds like this is almost, it feels so much more tangible, and like it could speed up the process a lot more because you're actually making, so many people can, like, you can put your visualization, you can put your mind in this future space so easily, and then you wait for the rest of the world to catch up with it. It's like, okay, you're doing that and you're also like changing your actual environment, and then like that almost is catalyzing a lot of other stuff too, isn't it?
It's so true because like we are marinating in our homes.
Mm.
Like this is like the juices that we're marinating in around us. So if we start shifting that, it's like your avatar, your home becomes your avatar, and it becomes kind of like your online dating profile. You could be sleeping, but it's doing the work out there. I kind of compare it to that sometimes. So the materia of your home is tuned to a different frequency than that which you currently stand in. It's tuned to like a higher like a different frequency, like a frequency that you're wanting to move towards. So you could be doing affirmations, and then your home is actually supporting those affirmations because you're tuning it to how you want to feel, how you see yourself. You're tuning it to that future emotion. And then that's how you start to time bend a bit. You start using the materia that surrounds you. You start pulling that into your reality because you're living it. Your body is experiencing what it feels like to have a kitchen that's completely set up for the person that you're going to be a year from now after you've lost 70 pounds. Like that's the person that kitchen is like calling in.
So is it something where it's as simple as you connecting with your future self and setting up your home in a way that would please your future self, or is it more on the realms of feng shui where there's not necessarily like from our Western mentality and society, you're like, well, this doesn't really make sense. Like, it's not just for pleasing me. There's this uh behind more energetic reasoning that doesn't necessarily make sense to our rational minds of how things are set up. I don't know if I'm phrasing that question in a coherent way.
So let me answer it, and then you could kind of like
Mhm,
adjust me if
mhm,
I didn't fully answer it. So this uses some ideas from Feng Shui. I'm definitely influenced by Feng Shui. It's obviously brilliant, but this also brings in a lot of the Western modalities that's my heritage and my tradition. So my parents are both psychiatrists, so a lot, and I studied psychology. So I grew up in a very psychological environment. So psychology, like really looking at your patterning and doing a release. So the reason it's called alchemy is there is first we do a release. So
mm,
you release like all the negative patterning, everything that feels like past you, that's extra clutter, which is stagnant energy. You kind of do a clearing. And then in the emptiness, I always have my clients stay in the emptiness for a while rather than fill it immediately. And then you kind of fill it more consciously with what you are wanting to call in. So it's not as much about whether it pleases you, although of course it has to please you. That goes without saying. It's more about tuning it into how you imagine feeling once you've achieved your intention. So, say your intention is to find a partner, and I have a lot of people that are single and that are wanting to find a partner. So say that's your intention. So I say to them, how will you be feeling? What will your home look like? And how will you feel when you have a partner? And the first place we go to is the bedroom. I'm like, well, is your bed in a corner? Is it like, is there room for a person, this hypothetical person, to come in? And who does this person like? Who is this person? What kind of things will he need or she need by the bedside? Like, prep it for them as if it's already happening. So that's kind of what we're moving it towards. That's what I call what it's in alchemy. It's called coagula. It's like the rebinding, the reformation. It's like releasing what isn't working for you and reforming it into the patterns that you want to do. That's the magical part of it. So if you're someone who wants to connect with people more, how do you arrange your living room so the pieces of furniture are in conversation with one another? Like so that the colors are in conversation with each other. So it's not like just a really bright red chair in just one place of the room. If you want to bring more people into your life, I would say no. Like, okay, that's a great bright red chair. How do you take the color red around the rest of the room so that the energy is moving? So it's not just like in one little thing. That's how things relate to one another. That's how you kind of bring in more people into your life. So what I'm doing is I'm like making their home into like their living, breathing, like totem, kind of like their altar. Like the whole home becomes an altar. It's not just the one space because we're literally programming it
mhm.
to the program that they want to see happen. And it helps. It's not everything. It's not that you don't do your work and this is the only thing that, you still have to do your work. You have to do your therapy, your practices, whatever it is you're doing. This is just how the material world around you supports you in that endeavor.
Mm. So most of the listeners to this podcast, they are magical business owners, and a lot of them are tuning in to help move their business in the direction that they want it to go into. So, do you have any tips for myself and for all people listening on how to use spatial alchemy in their space to manifest business goals or increase abundance or something like that?
Well, I mean, the feng shui practice always talks about putting the desk in the command position. I mean, and that's, I feel like a lot of your listeners probably know this. I'm just gonna say this quickly, like that your desk needs to, like, you shouldn't be facing the wall with your back to the door. You know, you should really like think of the president of the United States or any person of power. You should be facing the door and really in command. So that's, I would say that that's kind of like 101, like ground level. But then, you know, things should feel rich. Like things should have, like, if you're wanting to bring in money into your life, like start like working with plants. Like I always put a dollar bill into the plant and some quartz crystals, and then I water that, you know. Like there's, like, you can do some you put it in the sunniest spot in your house. Like for example, right there, that's a sunny spot. Think of how like Stonehenge was built and how like ancient monuments were built. They were built with the sun in mind. So whatever this is, a sun is a great amplifier. Um, whatever the sun hits grows. Like this is the law here on planet Earth. Whatever is hit by the sun grows. So I take a plant that's like a money plant, like what's behind me right now, and I put it in a sunny spot where the sun hits. I put a dollar bill in there and I put a quartz crystal in there and I water it. What does water do? Also make things grow. So there's that's a little bit of like witchy magic, but also like all the symbols, like look at the symbols in your house, like what, um like four, the number four in numerology is the number of stability. So if you're wanting more stability in your business, do four obelisks, you know, or play with the number four on your desk. Like maybe there's like four obelisks in a row or four obelisks behind you or four of the same thing. I also like my desk chair has a fabric that looks like the jungle. So I'm literally sitting with my butt on this like very fecund, kind of luscious fabric. So, and that's where my root chakra touches. So like root chakra is all about stability in the world. So it's really taking all these symbols that you know as a magical business owner and really making the symbols and work for you, because these are touching your unconscious whether or not you're realizing it. So what's touching your unconscious? Do you have any pictures of like sad people or alone people or people, or like pictures that feel like kind of like poverty in your office? Like take those away and then really bring in rich like rich colors or rich subject matter. Like look at all the symbols that are in your office. Those, I mean, I could keep going and going, but those are a few. I have a leather desk blotter. That was another thing that I bought for myself, because I had this like kind of papery desk blotter that like this old, and I'm like, wait a second, no, I need like a Park Avenue Lady desk blotter. I could afford that. That was like $80.
What is a desk blotter?
um, it is a, if you look at executives, they have a piece of leather that they write their, like, it's like right under their computer, they write their notes on. It's just this like piece of, it's like from the 19th century where they would write letters on this thing, and it's like it's so you're not writing it on the hard wood. It was like a soft piece of leather historically that people would use to write notes, and it also like breaks up the space of the desk visually. So I love them because I think it's cool style to break up the space of the desk, so it's not just one big, I like a big desk personally. And that's another thing, is like have as big a desk as you can that still looks good in the room. Spread out, grow, give yourself room to grow.
I was realizing that this last week of like how annoyed, because I have a desk. It's just a little small, and I have a bigger computer now, and now it's making the best desk feel even more small. And I was just thinking in my head of how it's probably a really bad metaphor that I have this desk that I can't fit everything I need on at one time in front of me in my office. So I'm glad you're speaking to this.
Yeah, as big a desk as you can have without going out of balance in the room. You want to like be aware of the room. So you want to also give yourself like space to grow, space to spread out, you know, space to like put your papers on comfortably. So it's not like piles and piles around you. You really want some clear energy in the space.
Well, I imagine that's important for creativity and thought too, just having some spaciousness just for your mind to overflow in not an overwhelmed way.
Totally, totally. I mean, the energy has to be clear, like there can't be piles of stuff. You have to, that's like stagnant energy. If you think of like the show Hoarders, they're really showing how stagnant energy accumulates. It's like tartar on your teeth. It's just like they hoard and they, keep and they keep and they're afraid to let go. And when we feel like we don't have enough, the last thing we want to do is to let go. So
Mm,
people tend to clench onto stuff, and that's where that's where the psychology comes in. So when I go into a person's home and I see a lot of like kind of clenched energy, like stuck energy, I'm like, first of all, we can't build on top of this. We
mm.
need to clean your teeth, or we need to clean your home first before we build here. So there's a lot. So that's kind of the process that you do. You first have to clear and then you build on top of that.
That's so powerful. And I mean, just scooting back to the sunlight thing, that is so mind blowing.
Mm.
I haven't heard anyone talk about sunlight in this space, but I remember I got a minor in environmental studies in college, and we were required to read this one book. I don't know if I'm going to remember the name, but it's one of my favorite books I read in college of all the great environmental writers in America. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not going to remember the name, but one of the writers was talking about how in different societies, how the inflow of wind into a room, or like the sunlight that streamed in through a window, like they saw that, and a part of their perception and connection was like, that's actually a spirit. That's a spirit that like
Mhm.
is coming into the space, or a god, or like some sort of deity is coming into space, and it was
Totally.
before like a big spiritual awakening with me, but in like at the time I was like going through a spiritual awakening. It was just like this big aha around our perception and our ability to give meaning to things, where other people can strip meaning away. It's actually a
Mhm.
power that we can have by giving meaning to things. So I'm just in love with this idea of the sunlight. And if anyone's watching on YouTube, you see this beautiful ray of sunlight coming in behind Olga onto her money plant.
Right? What I mean, this and the sun is an amplifier. So use it as such. So if you whatever you want to amplify, if the sun is hitting a particular part of your office at a particular part of the day, be aware of that. And like put a symbol of what you want to grow in that spot. And then that becomes like it's literally bathed in sunlight.
So is there any way that we could like audit our space, or maybe it's audit your life in order to change your space, or do you audit your space in order to change your life? Are there things that we can become aware of in our space that we should be paying attention to?
Always ask my clients like three questions, and these are kind of very simplified questions. But these are the three basic questions. What do you want to experience more of in that you're, or what do you want to experience in your life that you're not currently experiencing? So then there's the answer to that question. Then why don't you think you have what you want yet? And then and then there, and what patterns, like how does that show up in patterns in your home? And then how do those patterns show up in your house? So like there's one client I have that she'd been living in a place for this family had been living in a place for years, and her husband said that I feel like we haven't moved in yet. There's still like boxes that aren't unpacked, like there's still art that's not hung on the walls. So it's kind of a self-care kind of practice to really like spread into your home. So yes, first you need to look at the patterns that are manifesting in your home, patterns that you might not want. So is it that you pile things up? Is it that you just buy everything on sale and you have all these like cheap tchotchkes everywhere that don't really even mean much to you? Is it that you hold on to things? Is it that like everyone has their own special way of is it that you crowd all the furniture against the wall and the only altar that's in your home is the TV? And I always talk about like focal points. So a lot of times like everyone has at least one altar in their home, and oftentimes it's to the television, because the reason you know it's an altar is that everything is focused in that direction. That's how you know. If you think of an altar in a church, You know where the altar is because everything is focused in that direction. It's where the cross is. It's like at that middle point. Same thing with the home. If like all the chairs and all the sofa and the coffee table and the speakers and everything is around the entertainment center, that's great. But that's your like unconscious altar. Is that what you want to be worshiping? Um, like if so, great. Like, do you want to be worshiping any? There's no judgment. Like, but is it a conscious and deliberate choice? Like, do you like what are ways to soften the TV wall and then have it be a room not only for TV, but for conversation, for connection, for rest, for like curling up in a chair, for so many different facets of you, not just the one. So I think I answered your question and probably way more. I don't know how clear that
Totally.
was.
No, it was super clear. And I mean, you brought up altars. So, and I the other week you mentioned that you put up an altar and then your book deal came through. So I want to hear that story.
So what happened actually was that we're living in a transitional space. So we're building a home and we're living in a rental home, which is where I am now. So I thought we'd be living in this rental home for a year, but due to COVID, you know, the building has taken a lot longer than I anticipated. So we're like, I'm in this transitional space and my kids have been home and my furniture started falling apart because the upholstery started falling apart. And I kept, and there was like literally pieces of like foam coming out of some of it. And I kept thinking, oh God, I really need to hold on. I don't want to like reupholster it now because I want to wait till we get to our new house. And then I thought, wait a second, why am I living with torn furniture? I might be living here another year. I don't want to do this. So I reupholstered all the furniture. And then that set off a domino effect. It actually was an amazing domino effect because as soon as I did that, then a national magazine reached out to me and said, hey, what does your house look like? We want to shoot your house for the magazine. So I was like, oh my God, they want my house. So I better make it nice. Like it's not nice. Like it's not, it's transitional. And so then I started like, I like tuning into what I would want to feel like when I was living in my permanent home and then bringing that energy into this home. So then that's what landed the article in the Washington Post, which was about my work. I didn't go for this. This came to me. I literally pulled this in. I'd redone my home to my future self because I was like, okay, I have to think of like how my home's going to be when I move into the new house, do it to that, and then live with it now so that I'm not having to be in like that liminal waiting room space. And that's when the article in the Washington Post came. And then as soon as that happened, the book publisher reached out to me and said, I think you got a book here. And then that's how the book deal came. So yes. And then I did a proposal. Went through all the steps. You know, I found the writer. There was like all these steps. And then I put up an altar the week that I had submitted the proposal and was like thinking, oh my God, I hope they take it. And they did. So that was a long story. So, but it does show how, like, I literally tuned my home to my future self 2 years from now, living in the new house. I brought that energy into my current house. And my tendency, my psychological tendency was don't spend money now, wait until your future house, till you're living there, and then you'll know. And then I was like, wait, why wait? Time is short, like life is short. Like why am I sitting with disgusting ripped furniture and I'm going to be like, and that was my own psychological thing that I had to untangle. It's like, don't be wasteful, don't be presumptuous, don't be, you know, all these things, all these stories that we tell ourselves.
You're speaking to me so much because I we've talked about this before. Where I haven't put any art on the walls in years because we've been moving from place to place for years. And even if we've, and I probably have moved, I don't know, 20 times, 15 to 20 times in the last 10 years.
Wow.
It's not, it's notable, but I've carried this forward and we've been in, we're staying in a house on one side of the island, an apartment on this side of the island, and so it's like it's also fitting into this like we keep moving mentality. But the other place we've been in for 2 years, and just a year ago, I finally started putting like art on the walls and stuff and like making it look nice, just because I was pretty much living out the trauma of I'm not settled. I'm not settled.
Mm,
And so I'm just so inspired that you're like, I'm just changing this transitional space into something super beautiful.
yeah, and it brought so much to me. I really didn't want to. I was like, left half the stuff in the boxes, put it in the storage room, thinking, okay, we could be very minimal here. And then it's very powerful in order to grow. Like, think of trees, how trees have this really intense root system underground, and as large as their root system is, that's as high as they grow, and their branch system mirrors their root system. So if you want to grow in your business, like, feather your nest, like feather that nest, get it all settled, get it all comfy. And I talk a lot about using home to reparent yourself,
Oh wow.
like the relationship to home. And this is actually a very touching psychological thing, because everything that you didn't get in your home growing up, give it to yourself.
Oh,
Like, you didn't get attention in your home, like, give yourself attention. Where in your home can you weave the energy of attention? If you didn't get like admiration in your home, put mirrors up, admire yourself, like, give yourself that. Let your home give you that. Let your home give you what you didn't receive, and then you start pulling that in from other places. Then the world starts mirroring that to you. It's actually really just, it just moves me when it happens for people.
wow. That's so special. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I'm like, I feel like I need to like listen to this when I'm not being recorded. I need to like tune into this episode again because it's just
Yeah.
so much here. Um,
Yeah.
so I was wondering because it sounded like you haven't always been an entrepreneur. In entrepreneurship is a fairly new thing for you, or it's yeah, it is. How's that transition been?
Yeah, it's been interesting because I was a freelancer for a long time, and I guess that's a sort of entrepreneur, but I never like saw myself as like having an online business. And my business was very physical because I was always on shoots. I was always flying different places on photo shoots. So it was always very physical. And I wasn't behind a computer most of the time. I was on set, like one set or another set, or working with people's houses, like in their homes, moving their furniture around. I was very physical. So I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur, even though I've been freelancing for basically my whole entire career.
Wow.
But I was very lucky because my work was in magazines, and because that's kind of where I grew up as a career woman, that people would find me. So I didn't have to market. I never had to market. But my work just got marketed, and the magazines would market it. My name was in the magazine, and people would Google me and find me, and there it was. So I think of an entrepreneur now who now I'm not so focused on having my work in magazines. I'm more focused on healing and healing homes and healing people's relationship with home. So now it's been just a different direction of like, how do I share that with people? And people aren't necessarily talking about it in the way that I'm talking about it. How do I market without using certain marketing strategies that I don't feel like reflect me? So I'm having to ask myself all kinds of questions that I've never had to ask myself.
Mhm.
And I see that making me an entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, I actually think for myself and for other people that I've talked with, a huge perspective shift is around changing from I'm a freelancer or I'm a marketer or I'm an interior designer to I'm a business owner because
Yeah.
there's so much more stability and nuance to being a business owner than it is to be a service provider in whatever way or a freelancer because a lot of these people like they're doing hourly, they're not accounting for non-billable hours, they're not accounting for expenses, or it's not tuned into the rhythm of their business because they're just a freelancer or a service provider. So what a fun transition.
Yeah. I'm so still, as you know, learning the ropes of the nitty gritty. of like how to run this kind of business, with this new mindset, you know. So it's been a really huge learning curve for me.
So fun. Well, I would love for you to take us through a spatial alchemy practice.
Okay, okay. So it's basically to sit back and really think of your space and really sit in the question of, what do you want to be experiencing in your life that you are not currently experiencing? So, whatever that answer is, think of like, what are the patterns? Like, what are you believing that's holding you back from experiencing it? And these are the kind of questions I sit with for a little while with my clients. So I'm just going to give it a little space. So, how are these patterns showing up in your home? If you think of your home, like how are they showing up?
So you had said, what do you want to be experiencing? And then is the next one, what patterns do you believe are preventing you from experiencing it? Okay.
Yeah. And then how are those patterns showing up in your home? Um, do you want to be do you want to be the test person?
Sure. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna be so seen.
You will be seen. And you can say no, but I feel like it's richer. The conversation is richer if I'm actually speaking to something rather than
Oh,
hypotheticals.
let's do it. We can always like edit it out later. No, I'm kidding. We're just gonna go for it. So what I want to be experiencing when I sat back and like thought that when you were asking it was, um I have arrived. Like that like saying, like feeling like I'm here, I've arrived, like I'm already here. I have patterns of, I move really fast. It's like one of my superpowers of how quickly I can make things happen and move, but that also manifests as like being unsettled and like striving for the next goal instead of like actually being here. Um
Mm,
so and like there were definitely visuals that came with that, and I feel myself just from like learning more about feng shui and like having an intention to make a beautiful space, even though like there hasn't been that much action around it, of like feeling being attracted to more lush dark colors, where in the past I was
mhm,
attracted to more like a lot of light, minimal, colorless, beige, white stuff, and that's changed a lot, and I can see it. You guys, if I'm unscripted, you can tell how babbly and how my mind like zips around to like a bunch of different
that's
places. It's so funny when I
super normal.
but it's like I see like these dark inky blues and like I don't know, monkeys for some reason, like visuals come in, and more like dark jungle feelings, and this, and it feels like rest, it feels like grounded downward energy.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. So it's really like you move fast, you move quickly, and I can relate to that as well. So it's like you need to like sink into something, this feeling of having arrived. So how is that pattern manifesting in your home? The feeling of not having arrived, the feeling of feeling unsettled. Like what are a few things that you like that really stand out for you?
Um, the first thing that comes to mind is like in my attempts of putting art on the walls, it took me a month after purchasing some art pieces to put it actually up on the walls, and since then they have fallen off the walls.
That's so interesting.
It's
Wow.
so interesting. Okay, so more patterns of moving without settling. Um, Not having furniture that I totally love. Not actually. I have the exact what you were saying of I'm gonna wait into, because we want to build a house this year or in the next year, and so I'm like I'm not gonna get furniture before I know what the actual house looks like. So like there's some uh, there's some furniture that I love and some that I'm just like we're just waiting. um, and then I'm gonna try and think of a third one just to round it out. our backyard. So we're in this very small apartment, and we have this lovely backyard space, small backyard fenced in space that we have not been consistent at as keeping open and actually usable. It's like this weird spillover space right now. So those feel like three manifestations of the pattern in action.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. So that's for your listeners. So if you heard Sam, that's kind of the way that things like manifest in the home. Like there's a belief and there's like a, a way that you have decided to do things. And then if you look around your house, this is like how you start really seeing yourself. And that's the first step to the alchemy is you have to like really look in the mirror and see how your home is reflecting not having arrived when actually what you want to be reflecting is having arrived. So then we start, what I would start doing with you is like for you to identify the 2 or 3 pieces of furniture, and it could be smaller pieces because I don't want to push you towards making big purchases, but that really don't feel like you, that really are so transitional that you're like, oof.
Mhm.
And maybe go to some vintage stores and just get some vintage cool furniture that you like from the 1950s. You might not need to like reupholster it, right away, but even just a shape that you like a sculptural thing. Like I think having arrived means like settling into stability.
Mhm.
And stability means commitment
Yeah.
and commitment to yourself. It's like a deeper commitment to yourself. So it's like what and it seems like the colors that you want is kind of like more dark, more connected to the earth, more grounded because your energy tends to be fast. So you do, and this is also part of the alchemy, is you want to balance yourself out with your home. So if you tend to be flighty and scattered, be very orderly. Try to be very orderly and very succinct in your home because that will balance out your scatteredness. If you tend to be overly orderly and rigid, I say always like loosen it up. Start working against the grain. Start working against your patterns because then you're really finding that really nice, yummy middle ground, the middle path, which is the Buddhist way and kind of the way of the Kabbalah, the middle pillar. These are all alchemical methods for reconciling the opposites. So for you, I would say find, even create like a corner that you love or like a tabletop that you love. Maybe it's on your dining table or right as you walk in. Like just make that one spot yummy. Like even just on a tray, like buy a tray that you love and put some beautiful candlesticks, a beautiful vase, like paperweights or like this cool objet, like a cool sculpture on there that really reflects having arrived. You don't need to do your whole house having arrived. Just do 3 little spots having arrived, like in each room. Maybe it's 3 trays that represent having arrived to
Mhm.
you. And it's like, it's chic, it's interesting. You could go shopping for it. You can like look at, I always say go vintage, because things that have history are really powerful. It's not like, yeah, things that are made handmade with history are so much more effective like as an object than something that you buy at like made in China Target. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just has a different weight to it.
Yeah.
So I would say do that. That would be my alchemy. It's like alchemy is not really a one size fits all kind of tips thing, although there's a lot of tips in there. But it's more like work with your psychology. And if you want to tune yourself to having arrived, do it in the now. You don't have to wait for 2 years until your house is built and not have arrived for 2 years. You want to start building the feeling of arrived, having arrived. And that might be like getting a sumptuous cashmere throw that is on your sofa, your transitional sofa, but it's this really expensive throw that you're going to have in your new house.
Mhm.
You know, get like a pillow that's like really beautiful and down that you can like sink into. And then you put your nice throw on it, and then you have a really pretty basket with your books, and that's like a little space, and that feels like, I call that the throne. Like everyone needs their throne. It's like you, and then you're like the queen on your throne having arrived. You don't, your whole house doesn't have to be arrived. It's just certain parts, and whatever you feed grows. and that's going to grow. And it's really miraculous how the new house starts arriving when this house, the transitional house, starts taking on that flavor.
So I can actually feel the power in that just from like just the other day I was sitting in this chair right on this corner facing like this side of the room, and there's
Mhm.
something about just the little like tiny little actions I've taken about this side of the room. There's like some art pieces over here, there's like a bookshelf over here, there's like tons and tons of plants on this side, and I'm like, oh, oh, I want this feeling in my entire house. It's just like this one view, this one like little like perspective. So I can feel like the motivation in that, and so what you're saying with the trays and making that and actually bringing it as anchors in different parts of the room, I can see that being um, powerful in motivation in and of itself.
Yeah. And even if there's like some old wooden coffee tables or weird little side tables that you have that are transitional and you're really feeling navy blue, paint them. Paint them navy blue. Like if you feel like you want to kind of get into like lusciousness, like buy a piece of art that's pictures of the jungle, or buy like plant, or buy a wallpaper, and like there's like that peel and stick wallpaper that's super easy to take off when you're renting, and just do like a small wall as you walk in this like jungly wallpaper print. Or these are like all the different things that make you feel like, okay, it's luscious, it's growing, I've arrived. It's like you start weaving it like a tapestry, this idea.
I love that. I need some stick on wallpaper. That sounds great.
And you can
Um,
get it on Etsy. They're not expensive.
Oh, that's super fun. So this podcast is called Business as a Magical Practice. So we don't just use our magical and spiritual practices to fuel our business, but also our business as like this playground for growing spiritually and soul evolution. So I would love to hear your own experience or practices in this sort of way.
I mean, my life is a magical practice. Like this is really, magic is so fascinating to me, and how we start working with materia, how we start working with ideas and putting it into the material realm, how we the like what is creation itself, like, and what underscores creation itself. That is really interesting. So a lot of my magical practices is are really with working with my dreams, working with like really getting into like alignment, having everything be really aligned. So if, say, I wanted to feel like I arrived, I would be like, arrival, what does that mean? I would like really meditate on it. I would like think of like what things in the material world create that sensation, like grounded things. Like I would start thinking of root chakra things, I would start playing with the color red. So my magical practice is really how the material world reinforces the etheric, affirmational, like emotional realm, how those things can mirror each other for greater effectiveness. Because I believe that my magic, if I want my magic to be effective, so I really come at it from all angles. I mean, I wake up at 5 in the morning. I have two small children, so I really love to start my morning before they wake up. So I want to have 2 hours under my belt of my own practices. So I wake up at 5 in the morning. I have it all, like I meditate. I do my lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. I do all my alchemical journaling. I incense. I do all kinds of things. I work with my altar. I create intentions for the day. It's very intentional. And then I have my alarm set to midday. The ancient Egyptians did like their rituals 3 times a day following the sun. I just do that. Like if it worked for them, I'm doing it. So I have my alarm set to 11:11 and then 8:15 p.m. So when the sun is currently setting around now, in the Northeast. So then I repeat like small practices 3 times a day following the sun. I do all kinds of practices around food. Um, yeah. And also, I really try to stay away from like junk food TV. And that happened after Trump got elected. I just couldn't watch the TV anymore, and that habit stayed. I really don't watch much TV or read much news. I scan the news, but I don't really let it enter me fully, because I really want to. I want to be aware of where people are and what people are thinking in the collective, but I don't want to absorb it. I don't want to digest it, especially things that are painful to me. I want to really keep my energy field as clean as I possibly can. And that is another part of my practice, so that I could take in what I want to take in. It's very deliberate.
Hmm. Yeah, so important. It's like it's such an interesting thing in this day and age of wanting to stay aware of what's happening, but at the same time not wanting to be manipulated.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And the more sensitive I am, the less I take in from the outside world, the more sensitive I can be to my client's energy. So
Mm.
that's really important, because I've really put my focus on the subtle energies, because I'm not consuming junk TV and like doing a lot of the things, especially with COVID, that I was like, my energy field has gotten very still and very quiet. So I can really, really pick up on the like subtle, energetics of my clients, and like their spaces talk to me. I hear their stuff. Like I hear their patterns. I mean, not in a weird way, but I just we pick up on things. So, and I want to keep that sensor very subtle and attuned.
It's so beautiful. So one of my favorite last questions is, what have been your recent purchases for business and pleasure in the recent times? You can judge that however you want.
Um, I buy flowers for myself, for my altar, and for my desk. Every single week. That's really important for me. So that's been a recent purchase. The desk blotter, the really cool fancy lady Park Avenue lady desk blotter that I was like, oh my God, it's so not like me, because I'm like, I see myself as like a punk rock chick. Like that's kind of who I was in high school. So like getting a fancy lady desk blotter, I was like, oh my God, that's so not me. That's why I have to do it. So I was like going with the opposite of what I would usually do.
Oh my gosh.
So and it has a freaking monogram on it in gold. Like it's so not me. I don't have any monograms on anything. I was like so against monograms I was like, oh my God, that's so cheesy. I did it.
How does it make you feel?
Makes me feel like a powerful executive lady that's like has an empire, and I like it.
I love that. Okay, and then what have been purchases for pleasure?
Well, last night my friend came into town, and we went to this incredible, super fancy hotel for one night that was on the banks of a river. And this hotel room was like $550 a night. And we split it, so it was like $250 for me for just the one night. But I got to experience this like attunement with this like super stylish hotel like on the banks of the river, and the place was really tuning into a certain kind of vibe that I really liked, and I got to like take that in, and that felt very, very pleasurable. It was also, it deepened my relationship with the Hudson River, and I have a deep relationship with that river that's been developing over COVID, so that's pleasure for me.
Oh, that's so fun. So happy you got to connect with a friend, especially in these times. Is
Yeah.
that like funny that that's like a special thing now? I mean, I'm sure friendship is always special, but extra special.
Yeah. We haven't spent that kind of quality time together in like over a year, and we just got to really sit and be together, sit next to a fire pit, connect. It was really beautiful.
Oh, that's really great. So, Olga, thank you so much for our time together today. Where can people find you all over the internet? How can they work with you? All the things.
All the things. So they can find me at the spatialalchemy.com. They could just Google my name, Olga Naiman. They want to see past work. You can Google Olga Naiman, Domino Magazine. I have a lot of work that was in Domino Magazine. My apartment was in Domino Magazine, my former apartment. So you could just like, you could find me at Olga Naiman on Instagram, and I'm always like putting out little words of wisdom, little spatial alchemy nuggets on Instagram. You could join my Facebook group and send me pictures of spaces that you don't know what to do with, and I can't wait to like dive in and chew them up with you and alchemize your home. So all those ways.
And yeah, we'll put all of that in the show notes. And you also give one-on-one sessions, yes?
I do give one-on-one sessions. I do everything from just a quick roadmap session of like what I see as negative patterns that are manifesting in your home, how to release those, and how to plant new patterns. Like that's an 1.5-hour session, to longer packages, longer things, depending on if you're really ready to release an identity and you want to really step into a new iteration of yourself. I do discovery calls. So yeah, get in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Do you have any final words of wisdom for everyone?
Whatever you feed grows.
Received. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week.